Aging disproportionately affects the women who live longer but often lack financial assets or pension. Policy needs की अगर हम बात करें तो there should be a shift from fiscal consolidation to investing in public funded geriatric care system and labor intensive sectors to ensure the youthful states that don't age before they get rich. Next है आपका, this is based on social justice and economy, VBGRAM जी एक्ट, जो कि MG NREGA का सक्सेसर है. अगर हम बात करें इसकी तो विकसित भारत गारंटी फॉर रोजगार एंड आजीविका मिशन ग्रामीण एक्ट has replaced the MG NREGA. After a sparking, this has sparked a debate. Criticism by the experts की अगर हम बात करें, example the Jean Rezi discretionary power section 5 clause 1 allows the central government to notify where the guarantee applies, potentially undermining the right to work. Normative funding की अगर मैं बात करूँ, transition from demand driven to normative allocation budget caps might limit the expenditure in the poorer states like Bihar and Jharkhand. Digital divide, over reliance on advanced digital technology for transparency has previously led to technical glitches and sapped interest in rural employment schemes. Environment के कंटेक्स्ट में क्लाइमेट कम्युनिकेशन एंड एंटार्क्टिका के ऊपर ये टॉपिक है. लैंग्वेज गैप, द साइंस कम्युनिकेशन इन इंडिया faces a jargon barrier. Terms like loss and damage needs localization. Example, nuksan akalan to be actionable for the district magistrates and panchayat leaders. China's Antarctic law. China is drafting Antarctic activities and environmental protection law. Significance की अगर मैं बात करूँ, it seeks to establish a domestic legal framework for Chinese activities. 5 research stations in Antarctica. अब यूपीएससी के एस्पेक्ट में आपका एंटार्क्टिका ट्रीटी सिस्टम है, ग्लोबल कॉमन से, वो इम्पॉर्टेंट है. नेक्स्ट आपका ग्लोबल गवर्नेंस के ऊपर है, कन्वेंशन अगेंस्ट द साइबर क्राइम. सो कंटेक्स्ट की अगर मैं बात करूँ तो अ न्यू UN convention has been proposed by Russia 2017 that has seen fractures. India का stands है, India along with US and Japan has not signed the convention. Reasons for reluctance क्या है, concerns over the broad definition of serious crimes which could be used to prosecute the activities and prosecute the activist, and a desire to maintain the institutional autonomy over the citizens' data. नेक्स्ट आपका एनर्जी एंड जियोपॉलिटिक्स पे के ऊपर है, क्यूबा एंड वेनेजुएला. क्राइसिस की अगर हम बात करें, वेनेजुएला ऑयल कोलैप्स कंपाउंडेड बाय यूएस मिलिट्री इंकर्जन्स हैज ट्रिगर्ड अ मैसिव एनर्जी क्रंच इन क्यूबा. डेटा पॉइंट की अगर हम बात करें, वेनेजुएला's शेयर ऑन क्यूबा's oil imports have dropped from 75 to 58%, facing Cuba to seek costlier alternatives from Mexico and Russia. This is not important. I think unknowingly cover हो गया है. And these are the probable questions which can come in the mains perspective. Next आपका इंडिया इकोनॉमी एंड जियोपॉलिटिक्स. द फॉलोइंग रूपी. Despite strong domestic fundamentals, the Indian rupee has faced significant downward pressure since the early 2025. Macroeconomic context के बारे में अगर हम बात करें, with respect to financial year 2025 to 26, growth के aspect में this is projected that GDP growth remains robust at 7.4%. Inflation की अगर हम बात करें तो CPI inflation ended 2025 at 1.33%. यानी 2025 में जो CPI इन्फ्लेशन था दैट वाज अराउंड 1.33%, स्टेइंग बिलो द RBI's 4% टारगेट फॉर 4 कंसेक्यूटिव मंथ. एक्सटर्नल सेक्टर की अगर हम बात करें तो करंट अकाउंट डेफिसिट इन द फर्स्ट हाफ ऑफ 2025-26 was just around 0.76%, an improvement from 1.35% from the previous year. प्रॉब्लम क्या है, द रुपी इज डिप्रिशिएटेड बाय approximately 6% since April 2025. Now, if we talk about the non-economic villains, US trade policy, this steep hikes in the US tariff on Indian exports up to around 50% and threats the escalations which are linked to Russian oil imports that have fueled the investors' fear. Capital outflows की अगर हम बात करें, net capital inflows have turned negative in 2025, reaching a net outflow of $3,900 million as compared to an inflow of $10,615 million in 2024. Policy implications की अगर मैं बात करूँ, the RBI cannot prevent depreciation driven by non-economic pressures. It can only smoothen the volatility. Devaluation offers limited export benefits due to the rising import content of the Indian exports and high tariff barriers in the US market. Infrastructure and environment. India's ELCV transition. Light commercial vehicles, which accounted for around 48% of the commercial vehicle sales in 2024, are the next frontier of the India's clean transport agenda. Regulatory gap जो कि exist करते हैं, that while passengers cars have long standing fuel efficiency norms, LCVs will be largely operated without similar stringent mandates. New efficiency norms. The Bureau of Energy Efficiency has proposed fuel consumption standards for LCVs that are running from 2027 to 2032. Key challenges क्या है? Cost barrier, battery limitations, proposed catalyst क्या है इसमें? That the draft proposal introduces super credits for ELCVs, which would count each BEV multiple times for regulatory compliance, making electrification more attractive on the paper. Public sector enterprises की अगर मैं बात करूँ, BCCL IPO, the listing of Bharat Coking Coal Limited on January 2026 marks a pivotal shift in the narrative for the public sector enterprises. Strategic significance की अगर मैं बात करूँ, BCCL accounts for nearly 58.5% of India's domestic coking coal, which is vital for the steel and infrastructure value chains. IPO details की अगर मैं बात करूँ, स्ट्रक्चर के केस में 100% ऑफर फॉर सेल, OFS, नो फ्रेश कैपिटल वॉज रेज्ड फॉर कंपनीज ऑपरेशंस. रिसेप्शन की अगर मैं बात करूँ, IPO वॉज ओवर subscribed for 147 times, receiving over 90 lakh applications. A broader trend. Since 2017, the cumulative market capitalization of listed engineering, construction, and energy PSEs have risen around by 513%. Shifting the funding model, PSEs are increasingly being used to fund critical national missions. For example, the 50% of the National Critical Mineral Mission that is being funded by various administrative ministries using the dividends and proceeds from PSEs. So this is the last topic of the day. International relations के aspect में Rojava and West Asian tensions. Geopolitical instability in the northeastern Syria and rising US-Iran tensions have reached around a critical point. Rojava Syria's Kurdish region है, ये आप मैप पे देख लीजिएगा रोजावा के बारे में, जो कि सीरिया का कुर्दिश रीजन है. The actor. The Syrian Democratic Forces, they are the main actors in this. A Kurdish-led multi-ethnic alliance established the de facto autonomous region known as the Danes. Conflict क्या है? Following the fall of the Assad regime in late 2024, the interim government led by the Ahmed al-Sara has moved to re-centralize the power, leading to crashes and loss of nearly around 80% of the Danes territory by January 2026. Strategic stakes की अगर मैं बात करूँ, the region is home to key oil and gas-rich areas of eastern Syria along the European basin. US versus Iran, naval buildup, internal unrest, and sanctions. This is the main, tug of war kind of situation between US and Iran. So US carrier strike group led by the USS Abraham Lincoln arrived in the West Asian waters in late January 2026. Internal unrest के protests in Iran have been triggered by economic collapse and the fall of the rial, which have led to over 2,500 deaths in the crackdowns since late 2024. Sanctions guy US has ramped up the pressure by sanctioning a fleet of ships accused of transporting Iranian oil in violation of existing bans. And these are the main focus areas. So here I end my analysis. Thank you and have a nice day. I request you to like, subscribe and share my channel.